And from all of us here at Dr. Math Studios, I'm Dr. Math. Stay classy, San Diego. What? I have to do the lesson first? All right, mathletes, so let's look at how to find the determinant of this 3x3 matrix. All right, so many of you, what I have up here is a formula that many of you are gonna see in your textbooks, or maybe a formula that your teacher told you to follow. What I wanna give you is I wanna give you a way of thinking about this so you don't have to memorize all this. But essentially, we're gonna be using this formula, but again, I wanna make it easier on you to understand. All right, what are you talking about, Dr. Math? Let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so for this example here, what we wanna do is we wanna find the determinant of this matrix, of this 3x3 matrix. So let's go ahead and do that. So first things first, let me make sure that I tell my audience that I'm finding the determinant, right? This is the notation, these vertical bars here, telling us we're gonna find the determinant. All right, and so what I need you to remember is how to find the determinant of a 2x2 matrix. All right, if you forgot how to do that, just watch the video linked down below. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna focus on this first column, all right? So what I'm gonna do is first, I'm gonna grab that first element here, that 2. And so what we do is we have 2, and we're gonna multiply it by the determinant and check out where we get this determinant, all right? So we have this 2 here. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna get rid of the row that's associated with that 2, right? So put your finger over those 3 and then eliminate the column associated with that 2, right? And so put your fingers over those. So what does that leave you with? That leaves you with these 4 elements right here. So those 4 elements, that's what I'm gonna copy down right here. That -3, 0, and then 5, -1. All right, so that's our first piece of business here. Second, what we're gonna do is now we go down that column, right? So now I'm gonna take a look at that 1, but what we always do with that middle group is we always change the sign. So write that down, that's very important. And that's gonna coincide with the formula here, all right? So same rules, and don't worry about why right now, just understand this is what you do. All right, so we take a look at that 1 and we're gonna eliminate everything in that same row, right? So put your finger over those 3 numbers and then eliminate that column again. So put your fingers over those 3. What are you left with? Well, you're left with 4, 2, 5, -1. So go ahead and write those elements right here. So 4, 2, 5, -1. And like always, this next step is the most important, or else you're just gonna be lost probably for the rest of the class, all right? So the next step is to smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, so what you're gonna do is now we go to that last element there, which is -5. And here you're gonna put plus -5, which is the same thing as -5. So we're always adding that last element right there. And of course we're gonna multiply it, and we use the same exact logic, right? So we're eliminating that row associated with -5, and you're eliminating that column. So what are you left with? You're left with these 4 elements right here. So let's go ahead and copy those down. All right, so you're left with 4, 2, -3, 0. And now we're about to find the determinant of these 3 matrices right here. And if you forgot how to do a 2x2, finding the determinant of a 2x2, just watch the quick little video I put down below for you, and that will set you up. All right. So let's go ahead and let's finish this off. So we're gonna be left with 2, and some of you guys are gonna leave this part off, and that's okay. But many of you need to write everything down, kind of like myself, so you don't get lost. So remember, when we're finding a 2x2, all you're doing is multiplying these, and then subtracting those 2 products. So -3 times -1 leaves us with 3, minus, and then we have 5 times 0, which is just 0. Awesome. And then we got that -1. We're going to multiply it by, once again, 4 times -1. We got -4 minus, and then 5 times 2. And so we're gonna be left with, got that 5 times 2, so we're gonna be left with that 10 right here. Great. Next group, we got that -5. We're gonna multiply it times first 4 times 0, which is 0, minus, and then we have -3 times 2, which is gonna give us a -6. All right, so let's go ahead and multiply all these out. So here we're gonna be left with 2 times 3. That's gonna leave us with 6. All right, so took care of business there. And for our next group, we have -1 times -14. That's gonna be +14. All right, so we took care of that group there. And last but not least, you have -5 times +6, which is gonna leave us with a -30. All right, so we go ahead and add and subtract there, and you're left with the determinant of -10. So I know it seemed like a long process, but notice I was doing most of the explaining. Once you get this practice in you, you're really gonna fly through these, okay? So again, essentially, if you go look and compare it to this formula up here, right, you're gonna see that we got exactly the same thing as what they have up here, except I like thinking about it the way I explained. So let's do another problem to make sure that you really understood. Follow me. All right, so let's do example 2 here. And what we're gonna see is very similar. You're gonna notice some of the same numbers, but I added some things that I really want you to notice that are gonna save you time. So whenever you could save time, time equals money. So make sure you pay attention to all the little details. All right, so here we go. First things first, let me tell my audience I'm gonna find the determinant, right? We're gonna use that language. Also, they might ask you to find the determinant using this notation here. Means the same thing, right? So just get comfortable with notation like you always do. All right, so let's go ahead and rewrite this. So put it, so we know we're finding the determinant. All right, so I'm just rewriting it here for us. All right, so what did we say to do? Well, we said first work on that first element, that 2, and then we're gonna multiply it times, and we're getting rid of that row and that column. So we're only looking at these 4 elements right here. So we got -1, 0, 5, -1, right? And I get excited every time I see those zeros because that means less work. So usually 0 is the nicest number to have in any problem, right? And some of you are very comfortable because you just look at your bank statements and you see that 0.
Wow.
I'm just kidding, don't kill me. All right, next we have subtraction, right? So we got subtraction here. And we're gonna take that next element, which is the 1. So we put a 1 right there. And then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna eliminate that row and then that column, right? So what are you left with when you eliminate that row and that column? Well, we're left with the 4 and the 2 and the 5 and the -1. So let's go ahead and put that 4 and the 2 and that 5 and that -1 right there. Bam. All right, we're good? No questions? All right, next we take that last element, which is that nice number 0. Well, why is it nice? Because here you have 0, and in here you're gonna be left with who cares, right? Because you're multiplying it by 0 and you know it's gonna get 0, be 0. So let's actually just write it for the sake of writing it. So we're eliminating these numbers here, this row, and this column. So we're left with these 4 elements right here. So 4, 2, -1, 0. But essentially, I already know that I am ignoring that because everything there is going to 0. So that's gonna save me a lot of work, and that's what I want you to always pay attention to. It's just gonna, any little shortcut you could see or time saver, make sure you utilize, right? So here we get 2, and we're gonna multiply it times -1 times -1, which gives us 1, minus 5 times 0. So once again, I don't even need that minus sign. So let's just get rid of it because that 0 is just 0. Next group, -1. Go ahead and do the same thing. 4 times -1. we got -4 minus, and then we have 5 times 2, which is 10. 10. So let's simplify things. So we have 2 plus, right, 14. 2 plus 14. So in this case, our determinant equals 16. And we're going to be using this determinants in a future video because we're going to use them to solve a 3x3 system of equation. All right. So there's our determinant, folks. So the last thing I want to leave you with, if you're not 100% or if this method doesn't seem to be working with you, let me give you an alternative. All right, so follow me. All right, mathletes, so I got some bonus footage for you, all right? So what we're gonna do here is let me just lay out the scenes. So let me copy down these numbers here. And what we're gonna do with this strategy, right, is this is a different technique. So we write down our 3x3 matrix. I'm not gonna put any brackets or any vertical lines. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy again right next to those, the next two columns, excuse me. All right, so all I did is we copied this matrix down right here. And then I brought again a copy of the first two columns and put them down here. Well, what the heck are you doing, Dr. Math? Well, let's find out. All right, so remember, this was the very first problem we did. And so go back and look at your answer and let's make sure that we actually get the same answer. So here's what the process looks like. All right, once you set things up just like we did, all we're gonna do is multiply straight down from left to right. All right, so we're gonna multiply those three numbers and we'll call that D1. And then we're gonna multiply these three numbers, D2, and then we're gonna multiply these three numbers and we'll call that D3. Right? And then we're gonna do the same thing, but now we're gonna multiply, starting with this position right here, we're gonna multiply these three numbers, we'll call that D4. We're gonna multiply these three numbers, D5, and we're gonna multiply these three numbers, we'll call it D6. And then we're gonna subtract those two groups. So let me actually write down what this looks like. So we're adding up D1 plus D2 plus D3, whatever we got there, minus, right, the sum of, let me change the color there, oops, minus the sum of D4, D5, and D6. So D4 plus D5 plus D6. And some people are gonna find this method much easier. Other people are gonna find the previous method easier. So again, whatever method you find easier, do what works for you. But I encourage you to try both of them to see what you really think is easiest again for you. So let's go ahead and do this. So D1, what are we doing here? 2 times -3 times -1. So we are left with 6, all right? And then this next group, they have a 0 there, which is awesome because that's going to 0. And then our last group here, we have 2 times 1 times 5, which is 10. All right, so in red here, we're left with 16. Awesome. All right, now let's go ahead and do this next group. So we have 2 times -3 times -5. So that's gonna leave me with positive 30. So we got positive 30 right there. This next group has that 0 in it, which is great because that is gonna give me 0. And then our last group here is 4 times 1 times -1, which is gonna leave me with -4, -4. So we are left with 26. So now we have 16 minus 26. We go ahead and combine those two, subtract them, and we are left with -10, which is the same exact determinant that we got when we did it using method 1. So again, folks, whatever method you find easiest in terms of finding the determinant of this 3x3 matrix, you go ahead and you choose and you decide, and let us know method 1 or method 2. Are you a method 1 person or method 2 person? All right, mathletes, so that's it for this video. Again, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and let a friend or 10,000 know about us. All right, mathletes, we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.